What up? It's your boy C Rizzy coming at you with Unit 3, Lessons 7 and 8, Equations of Lines in the Coordinate Plane. Our essential understanding is you can graph a line and write its equation when you know certain facts about the line, such as its slope and a point on the line. So this is all stuff that you should have learned in Algebra 1. For the majority of you, this will be a good review. So let's just talk about slope and how we find slope. Slope is rise over run, otherwise known as the change in y over the change in x. So how do we solve for slope? Take our 2 points, like you would do in the midpoint formula or the distance formula. You take y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Okay, use the graph at the right. What is the slope of line A? So line A has 2 points I can see. So here's line A. It has points 5, 7, and 2, 3. So the 2 points on line A are 2, 3, and 5, 7. So let's first define what is x1, y1, what is x2, y2. So we can plug that into our formula. 7 minus 3 over 5 minus 2. 7 minus 3 is 4. 5 minus 2 is 3. So your slope is 4 over 3, or 4/3. And again, if we want to just double check how we can see that in the graph, if I look at my 2 points, it means I'm going up 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. And going over 3. 1, 2, 3. And that's exactly what happened. Okay, so you have 4 different types of slopes. You have positive slope, where your line goes from left to right, going upwards. Negative slope, when left to right is going downwards. Zero slope, where you have a horizontal. And undefined slope, when it's vertical. So just remember, in a zero slope, your equation is going to look like y equals some number. And in an undefined slope, your equation is going to be x equals some number. Okay, we don't do a lot with point slope form, so you don't really have to pay too much to this equation. It's good to know, it's good to have. But we're really going to just pay attention to what is slope-intercept form, right? So when you look for the slope, slope is the coefficient or the number that's next to your x value, and your y-intercept, where you start your graph, is this constant over here. Okay. Graph y equals 3x minus 4. In what form is the given equation in? This is slope-intercept form. Again, you should try and always put your equations into slope-intercept form. It's the easiest one to understand. It's the easiest one to read. Right as a fraction, the slope. So here's my slope. It's a positive whole number 3, right? So slope is supposed to be rise over run. So here, the rise is 3, and the run is 1. So when you have a whole number, how you write that as a fraction is you always put it over 1. 1 point on the graph is 0, -4. Where do I get this? That's what my y-intercept is. So my y-intercept is at 0, -4. And from that point, I'm going to move 3 units up and 1 to the right, because this is a positive slope. So I go 1, 2, 3 over 1. 1, 2, 3 over 1. And then I can graph this line. Whoa. Of course, my tool's messing up here. Try this again. This isn't working out for me very well, so I'll just freehand it. So this is my line going through my 3 points right here. Okay, what is an equation of the line with slope -1/2 and the y-intercept is 2? So we're just going to quickly write this. My slope is -1/2. My y-intercept is 2. My equation would be y equals -1/2 x plus 2. Okay, here's an equation in slope-intercept form, or in point-slope form. We want to write it in slope-intercept form. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute my 6/5 into my equation. So what I'm going to get is y minus 5 equals 6/5 x minus, now all you can do is have to put 6/5 into your calculator, and you get 18 over 5. And then you're going to add 5 to both sides of your equation. Y equals 6/5 x. And over here, I'm going to do negative 18 over 5 plus 25 over 5, which is what positive 5 over 1 converts to when you need a common denominator. And that gives me a positive 7/5. Okay, what are the equations for the horizontal and vertical lines through 4, -3? Right, true or false? Every point on a horizontal line through 4, -3 has the y coordinate of -3. That is true. So if I graph the horizontal line at y equals -3, it's down here. Right? And every point on this line is 0, -3, 1, -3, 5, -3, -4, -3. So every point on a horizontal line has the y value of -3. The equation of a vertical line through this is y equals -3. That's false. A vertical line always starts with x equals, and our x value here is 4. The equation of a vertical line is x equals 4. That's true. We just talked about that. So our vertical line starts at 4 on our x and goes vertical like this. So moving forward, the one thing to note is that a vertical line and a horizontal line in the coordinate plane are always perpendicular, right? Parallel lines never intersect. Perpendicular lines intersect and form right angles. So if I go back to our original picture, you can see here you have right angles. So if I was looking at the slopes of lines, how could I tell if the lines are parallel or perpendicular just by looking at the slopes? So the slopes of parallel lines are the same. The slopes of perpendicular lines have the product of -1. So in other words, and this is the one they use most often, they are opposite reciprocals of each other. So what that means, opposite means different signs. So if it was positive, it's now negative. If it was negative, it's now positive. And reciprocals means flipped fraction. So whatever the numerator and denominator were in the original slope, they have changed positions. Okay, and again, the reciprocal of a number is such that the product of the two numbers is 1. In simpler terms, the numerator and denominator switch places. Okay, so we're going to write the slope that's parallel and perpendicular to each line. So the first thing you should do is identify what is the slope. So the parallel slope, and that's remember those lines mean parallel. The parallel slope would be -2/1 because it's the same. The perpendicular slope would be taking this fraction, flipping it, and changing the sign. So it was negative, now it's positive. Okay, this one, the parallel slope is just 4/5. Perpendicular slope is flipping the fraction, and this was positive, now it's negative. Parallel is 1/5, that's easy. Perpendicular is -5/1. Okay, for the rest of these, I'm just going to do the perpendicular slope because the parallel doesn't change. So this is positive 1/3. This one, the perpendicular slope is -5/4. And here, the perpendicular slope is positive 3/4. All right, that's all from me.